We're back. Hi all. We know what our mission is. It only took us the first session to figure it out. We're gonna go to planet Omega, and we're gonna raise an Urbot army, or something. We're gonna make peace with the record there.
Awesome. So there's just one thing before we roll engagement rolls. Let me just double check with everyone. Is everyone done with their downtime actions?
I'm not, and I'm not sure what to do here because, like Samara is injured and stressed, but if I play Ula for the rest of the sort of game, I'm not particularly interested in de-stressing Samara. Maybe she just,
that's
goes
fine.
off
Samara can stay behind on the cove, and
yeah.
There's nothing to be done. So like the way that it's handled in Blades is, if a character goes off screen for a mission or two, they just return with no stress and all their wounds healed.
Yeah.
Because it's assumed that they handled that in the downtime, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you on average you only play like one character a session. You don't need to track separate downtimes or whatever.
Yeah. So I think Ula's downtime will be perhaps working on the gravity scoop. Or I could do something else if we need to acquire assets or something. I don't know. I don't have plans.
Gravity scoop sounds great. You should totally come up with that.
How is that handled, Josh? Is that a long-term project?
It is a long-term project. So the question that I have is this a recipe that like Ula is designing, or is this so let me double check. I think that such a thing already exists. So I think maybe if what you're trying to do is just come up with your own version of it without having to go and beg the Guild of Engineers for it, it's probably just like any clock. Because I'm pretty sure that's a ship mod.
There's a tractor beam, which is
that's roughly what we're looking for.
Basically, what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's a.
So buying a mod for a ship is 6 cred. As far as I know, I don't know if that's a weapon mod or not though. So the question is, do you have a weapons rating for your ship, really?
Gravitech Field Generator. It's an engine mod, not a weapon mod. And we do have an engine spot. We've got 2 engine rating, and we only have We only have the storm drive.
So then, I guess if Ula just wants to make her own thing for it, then she can. And if she wants to, if you folks come up with some story about where you can acquire the part from, then you can acquire it and just install it, which is fine.
I mean, I'm into the idea of Ula just fucking building one.
I think
she's
that's
been
cool.
sitting on the cove for a good long while, so.
And see it, like the goggles come down, like the torch like shoots up, and you're like
Cusco's hanging around. Yeah.
Pulling parts out of them.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Josh, does 8 tick clock?
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, I think it's it costs 6 cred to buy a part, I believe, right?
Yep.
So that's the. I think that's most of what you need there. And yeah, if you want to, it's actually less. If what you're doing is mostly just like prepping it and installing it and configuring it to your system, like a 6 clock is probably plenty. So, yeah.
I think the point that Jen was making is that rather than buying the thing, she wanted to build it.
And
so doing it as a long-term project rather than purchasing it. We have the cred. We can certainly spend
it. The thing, like I want to see Ula build it, but I also would like to see it happen this time. And if it's like a 6 clock, I don't know if I can actually fill that.
You can totally fill it because you can spend cred to bump up your roll, and you have 2 downtime actions.
Yeah, so
I don't think we're necessarily trying to skimp on cred so much as we want to really have Ula be.
I want the flavor of Ula building.
The cred is buying the parts. The flavor is Ula putting it together. I think that if you spend 6 cred, Ula can just do it, and it'll be fine. If you have a slot in your engine core, and this is an engine mod, as we put it, hull module, auxiliary module, engine modules, gravitic field generator. Yep. That sounds fine. So yeah, this may actually cost a little bit more than 6 cred. And the reason for that is I think that there is probably something like a 6 clock for building it involved, because if what you're saying is that no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I was thinking about like it's a guild prototype, so you would need like to figure out how to get the plans and everything. But the thing is that Ula's been offline for a while. If you're saying that this is a project that she's been working on, I think that we can just hand wave it. Like technically as a GM, I need to know how somebody is acquiring difficult to acquire modules, right? So like if a module is something like I'm buying a standard module that's designed to slip into my ship and it's not illegal, then we just do it and we don't ask questions. But if you're trying to make something that's complicated or difficult that is going to that like isn't easy to acquire, we have to actually discuss the fiction of it. And I think the fiction is just like, well, I took 6 downtimes to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Ula's been scouring the Cove Market.
And she's like an ex-engineer.
Yeah.
And I think it's all plausible. I think it's fine.
8.
Cool.
Samara's got 3 cred to spend. Ula doesn't have any because she hasn't been on a mission in a while.
Persephone has 2. We could spend those 2.
So technically, Samara cannot donate any money. She is off and done.
Oh, okay.
Only Ula and the rest of the crew counts, because that's like the caveat. You cannot play multiple characters; they're not interchangeable. You can't like trade stress or money or anything else like that.
All right. So Persephone's paid 2. Whisper has no cred but has 4 stash, so he can contribute 2 more.
I've got 1 cred just free, so
Ula's got 2 stash, so
that's 1 cred.
That converts to 1 cred, like free, yeah.
So that like a bunch of cred I could toss you if you like.
Dipper's like, I don't use money.
Oh yeah, Dipper, you got all kinds of cash.
Oh yeah.
How much do you want to put in, Dipper?
Oh, as much as you need. Yeah.
Well, we need 4, and you have 4, but I don't necessarily want to have you pay for the entire thing. I mean,
no, I think that sounds good. I haven't had a yeah, I'm good to toss 4 cred in this.
Okay.
Is...
All
right, so for cred on the table, we need 2 more. Who's
one was Ula and 1 was Persephone.
All right.
Oh
done.
no, Persephone had 2. Okay. Ula, I'll leave 1 on Persephone just so that Ula's also putting in. But yeah,
I've been like living rent free on Persephone for a long time, so it's only fair that I pay Ula my rent.
There is no such thing as rent when you have crew quarters. All right, it's all good. Yeah, it's done. Like the Persephone has added a gravitic field generator to its engine slots, and it has a little gravity scoop.
Nice. The next thing I think we want to do before we're going, Dipper still has 1 downtime, and I still have 1. Is we're talking about figuring out a way that we could talk to the King, because last time only Dipper could. It was speaking in Urbot, and some sort of translator that we could use so that the rest of us could communicate with them. Is that possible through Dipper's interface or through also? Lauren, you said you had a clock going on this already.
Yes, we have an ancient clock, so it's going to be a callback from many sessions ago called Interface with Elder Core, which I think the intent was when we began that clock to be able to like figure out our language and communicate, like so like Ula and Dipper and others could communicate.
Sure, yeah. I think if you finish that clock, we can 100% say that you have some sort of device that'll be able to communicate or translate as appropriate.
Sweet. I can do that as like step 1, and then if we need to do anything else, you have your downtime action shown.
Sounds like it covers it. I can use mine to lay low.
Nice. I feel like my gut says this feels like a study, which is a shame. So I have 0D in study. Unless we hack into it, or
yeah, I was gonna say hack to put together some code that translates a thing to another is totally plausible. Rig also to physically wire together a little device or something.
I'll totally hack it. I'll get out the tendrils of my fingers to communicate with the tech we have on hand.
Nice. All right, I think that does it.
Yeah, that's two. Is it
That's 2 ticks.
Yeah,
2 ticks.
That's just what we need.
Perfect.
Crushed it.
And I feel like the same too has to be like with Ula and Whisper and I guess like anyone else who wants to cover it. Like Sion's welcome to if he wants.
Yeah.
But I feel like with like, cause like for Dipper, Whisper is like this beautiful orator who always talks us out of trouble. So of course, like you need to be there if this is a communication device. And Ula, of course, is so in tune with Urtek and has the benefit of not having a bunch of ghosts trying to talk to you while you interface.
Right. While you're doing the wiring.
Yeah.
So do we, as a result of this, do we get to meet your ghosts? Lauren? Do we hear from any of them?
I would
To,
like
like,
to.
Once this like communication goes, do we hear any of them talk?
Well, yeah, it's trash. how to ghosts.
This is a. They have no interest in talking to the organics, but like that doesn't mean anything. Like if Lauren wants this to happen, I think that we can make that happen. I just don't want to pretend like it happens accidentally, right? Like I don't know, is this a thing that you want to tell your crew about? Is this a thing that you want to introduce the two groups to each other? Like what's the how do you feel this goes? Because like obviously you are making this device and you can test it. Like you can be like, you know, it'll be like, hello person, I am testing this device, you know, but do you actually try and coax the ghosts out? Like how do you get this to work, right? Because like does the device actually wire into you, or does it just translate the sounds that come out of you, like the weird sort of binary robot speech or whatever the equivalent is for
Oh, good question. I immediately went to Oxenfree because I freaking love that game where you have like the radio tune in and you can kind of catch like some white noise and some static and then like a word as you like tune into the ghosts. I think that'd be kind of cool. I'd like if my fellow folks could, if you wanted to, if Whisper and Ula like we would like to talk to them. I think Dipper would be like, okay, like we can.
I love the
I'd
idea
like to
that,
point out that Whisper and Ula do not know about them yet.
yeah, but I love the idea that
Whisper does Whisper?
Whisper knows something weird is going on with you, but you
Oh,
never
that's right.
spoke in detail that I recall.
yeah.
I might be wrong. I may have missed something, but
You just called him an organic, and he was like, "Wonder where that's coming from."
Yeah.
yeah, and Whisper's like, I don't know what you're turning into. Something weird seems to be happening since you have that core installed. But the only person you actually talked to about the ghost that I recall was your parent.
That's right. It was my other parent.
I can totally see Ula being like, as Ula's like helping rig this up, be like, I seem to see some other frequencies that are coming through.
Yeah,
Right?
but
Like,
I
what
don't
are
want
those?
to like. This is a very personal thing, and Lauren, I want you to definitely be in control of it. Like, it's not the sort of thing that I wouldn't be like, whoops, everybody knows, like, you know.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Oh no, thank you. Yeah, I'm totally okay with like Ula picking up on like some frequencies, and I think like Dipper's on that edge of like confessing everything to like the crew in general, and I think like is aware that if we can speak to older tech, like that may be a consequence. So like I think if Ula's like, oh, I'm getting some frequencies, looks at Dipper and Dipper's like, like, and then like Dipper sort of like reveals more of that and it's like I'm experiencing some like abnormalities in my programming, and we'll open
Yeah,
up.
I was going to suggest that where like Ula maybe notices something looks weird, but wouldn't say anything to Whisper until I like check in with Dipper and be like, you're hiding some beans here. I don't want to spill them, but
I'm seeing the memes.
Yeah, I think like in that, and I think like Dipper too we've seen like that really trusting relationship with Ula. Ula's like worked on Dipper and fixes Dipper up. So I think like yeah, Dipper would totally be like, it's such a shame that we lost for a long time because oh my gosh, I have a lot to tell you. And maybe there is like that cute montage, like, and then there's like this one that is really judgmental and like yells at me all the time, and there's like this Echo, it's a spider, and it's like really happy and joyous and green, and like this other one, it's another really scary one I haven't met yet, but I don't want to.
I love this montage so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think Whisper is just sitting there like just like oh my like he knew something was up but had no idea that that's what this was.
I think like, and then Dipper sort of squirming in their seat, going like, "I'm sorry." Like in hindsight, I shouldn't have held on to this for this long. Kind of kind of teenager shame.
I don't think Whisper isn't mad. For Whisper, it's like this is like suddenly making some sense. Like this is like oh, okay, that's where maybe some of these changes have come. Like he didn't know at all. So yeah.
I was gonna say Ula's not mad. She's just a little disappointed that her robot child has hid things from her.
Yes.
But not
Yeah.
mad. If that's okay with you, Lauren.
Oh, it's totally fine. I think Dipper does like go into that assumption of like so angry, and then it's like we're not angry. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm so sad.
Love it.
So I have two questions. The first question is, do you also tell Scion, or is this just an Ula and Whisper thing? Or is it just an Ula thing? Like you tell me who all knows about this at the end of all the discussions here, Lauren.
I think it makes total sense to invite Scion in. Like, Scion, sit down. We have something to tell you. Like,
In my head, Scion is a little hungover for this conversation.
yes.
It's like you knock on the door, Son's like in his bathrobe, his hair is like all sticking up at weird angles. Like, what? It's not even 11:30.
Oh wow. I was gonna say 1 or 2 is usually where I would be going with that
Right.
time.
Yeah, it's like, remember Malvin?
Yeah.
They just do that.
Yeah, I think I remember him better than he remembers me, actually. Did it work?
So that's actually my second question, which is, are you fiddling with the artifacts at all, Dipper?
Yeah, I think it would make sense to before taking them. I don't have any more downtime actions to mess around with.
Fictionally, free play, right? First off, you can always buy more downtime actions with the cred. Hi. Sorry, I've got a very loving cat. And then 2, you can you can just do stuff, right? Like if it's dangerous, we have to make rolls. It may cost you stress if you're pushing yourself and whatnot. So like the question, like after every job you get 2 free downtime actions, but there is no like limit, right? Like you can do whatever you want to do fictionally. It's just there's a cost, right? Like you don't clear stress for free again.
Mm-hmm.
So so if you want to do things, yeah, we can just do them. If you don't, that's fine too.
I think if we do, I'd love to invite Ula if Ula or Jen has an idea for what you would like to do with messing around with these artifacts.
I mean, like, that's my vice, is messing around with her tech in a probably reckless manner. So yeah, Ula was super on board with futzing with this thing. In fact, she's probably very grateful that you want to look at it because, she picked it up and then immediately stashed it in the vault because that was the responsible adult thing to do. But it's been sitting there in that vault and she just wants to figure it out.
Poke it at it.
Yeah.
So do you folks want to? Okay. So do you want to make some sort of a tune roll and see how it goes there?
Yeah, I totally, I totally can.
All right. Cool. That sounds good.
And I think it makes sense to do this like with Ula in my presence because if I think I can't trust myself, so maybe the one.
Am I there also?
Yeah, would you like to be?
Sure.
Whisper is pointedly having a conversation with Nita in the cockpit as far away from all this as possible. So, did you check the? Let's test out that gravitic field generator again. Yeah, no, I know it worked fine 10 times, but let's just test it an 11th time, just to be honest.
What baseball team are you backing this week?
Hades Tigers. All right, let's keep rolling.
I feel like the scene is very like quiet. You can just like hear the just sort of hum of the ship as like we approach these artifacts and like it's a bit spooky. I'll just go ahead and roll a tune for messing around with these tree artifacts.
I'm going to assist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should it be a group action of people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you're rigging up experiments and working through stuff very cautiously, I feel like it could be a group action. Yeah. Sure. Because what you're really trying to study is some artifacts work a certain way, and then when you put them near other artifacts, they work completely different. So putting the two artifacts together and running some like basic tests on them and stuff, because we've already seen that the two artifacts together do something very different than each artifact individually.
Yeah.
So I think that that's totally plausible.
Cool. I can totally lead it too if
Sure.
people would like.
Yeah. I have one attune, which feels very appropriate to Ua.
Just enough to be curious.
Yep.
Not
Just
enough to
enough to
avoid
cause
hurting
problems.
herself.
Yep.
So,
And we're just risky standard on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
I cause stress, which feels appropriate.
Hey, 45.
I'm all right.
All right. Who's I assume Dipper leading this? Is
Yes,
Ula leading this?
yeah. I think Dipper. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Cool. So Dipper, you take
Yep.
one stress from Ula. On a 4 to 5. All right. So I think that there's a consequence. Yeah, there's a consequence. So two things are going to happen. One is, so do you remember what happens when these two artifacts work together? So like one of these artifacts, which is the one that Zion had, creates a bubble where time outside the bubble is stopped and time inside the bubble still works. But like then when you rejoin reality, even though time for you has passed, it's like the next moment in the real world, right? And the second artifact resets the day for a person, right? Like they loop. It's like a Groundhog Day effect. And then, or as a, and then if you put the two of them together, they do this interesting thing where they stop time inside a bubble, but time outside continues working. So it's a way to like crystallize yourself and make a certain section of reality basically inviolate, while still being part of like the actual time stream. Like it allows you to like flow through time without being affected in a way, right? Now, theoretically, when you do that, nothing is supposed to happen to you inside the time field, right? Like when you time freeze yourself, effectively you're blipping out and then blipping back in, right? So like it's basically supposed to be like a fast forward, right? Like you just rejoin the time stream and everything's fine. However, on a 4 to 5, two things are going to happen. The first thing is, you are not just going to have no time pass. I think that the Dipper is probably going to have a very different experience inside the no time field. And we'll talk about that in a second. I think that maybe you get talked at or talked to by something that the rest of the people that have experienced such an event did not have two cores enough to comprehend. And so like maybe something interesting happens as a complication. But the second thing that happens is, hey, the rest of you. So Sean, it's a good thing that you're in the cockpit with Nita and both of you are piloting this vessel and everything is going great, because this is exactly the right moment when your team is in the middle of very delicate experiments and one of them is outside of time. When your engines get hit, they short out and your ship starts careening towards a cool crystalline looking planet. Because I rolled entanglements, and if you remember, you have somebody on your tail. So, nice. So I think that that's the consequence of the 45, is that this is just the moment when the guy chooses to do the thing.
It just so happens. Okay, so the engine going out has nothing to do with the bubble. It's just the timing. Gotcha.
It is the timing. Sometimes on a 4 to 5, there is a direct consequence of your actions. Go ahead.
Fixed. You may expend your special armor to resist a special consequence for machines breaking or being damaged.
Amazing. So your ship is going to crash into a planet and blow up, except it doesn't because Ula's on top of it. You tell me what this looks like. Do you go like dashing back and flipping switches and like what is it that you had prepared for this moment? You 100% armor it.
Yep.
Just tell me what it looks like.
Yeah, I think that what does it look like? I think that I have some sort of alarm set up on the engine to like notice proximity or like electrical current or some like shield that pops up. I don't know. Is this
I dig a light suddenly
A
going off.
bypass extra,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it totally sounds plausible. Like the
Yep.
original circuit's fry, but there is a secondary circuit that you set up that'll reignite the engine and get you back online for the moment. Lets
I
you
love it.
vent some stuff.
I also love that this gets to be Whisper's like one final hurrah of like, let me show you how to fly this ship. And Nita's like, the engine's around. I'm like, no.
actually Ula?
Ula's got a backup, and I like pull out something and
Three,
like rewire
2,
something.
1, go.
Love it.
And
Thank you.
it's all wired and janky, but Whisper knows this trick. Perfect.
So Sean, I'm just for the purposes of coolness.
Yeah.
There's this planet called Voss. It's got these. It basically looks like a giant space crystal, right? Like it's got these like crystalline growths that come out of it, and there's this like cool kind of like debris field of crystals, sort of like around it, and that's the thing that you're careening towards when you catch yourself before you get shredded in here. But
Right.
there is definitely a ship on your tail, and unlike you, it clearly has guns. So
no doubt.
what are you folks doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nita and Whisper are in the are in the cockpit, so I'm like, there's all these crystals that look very dangerous if you crashed into, right? Like,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm like, cool, let's lose them in the field. And
Of course.
yeah, I mean, that's what you do when you fly into like a dangerous thing. We're gonna zip around, we lose in the field, and my plan is to like use the gravity arm to grab onto a crystal to like arc around it, and then use use this new thing that we've just tested for the 11th time to like grab the ship in a gravity field and smash it or like just put it off course just enough that it hits into one of the crystals.
Awesome. So what you're trying to do is a setup action into some sort of
into a gravity smash, a gravity well dash move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what action are you using? Well, first off,
The gravity smash action.
what? No.
Grabs-
I mean,
I've got 2
yeah.
points in gravity smash. I'm pretty sure Sean has more.
I'm asking Nita to do a setup action for me, honestly, of like cool piloting to ditch them while I go and grab it, and maybe that's
Right.
just
So let me see how Nita rolls. Because
she's the ace pilot, right? Like
she can't set you up technically because only people that are in the group can set you up directly. But what we can say is that she will handle all the flying, but you need to tell me what action you use to hide the ship. Is it study to find a spot to hide? Is it sneak because you're using some like ship stealth or whatever? Is it rig to set up a scanner that'll bounce signals off of crystals to hide your what are you doing? How are you hiding?
I wasn't thinking hiding. I was thinking we fly around and then we it's chasing us, and then we whip around and smash it with and grab it with the gravity thing. I was thinking, as it's chasing us, once we get a little distance on it, then we kind of turn around and grab it with the gravimetric thing. So I was more getting in position.
Gravimetric thing is much closer range than a cannon.
Got it.
So what I was seeing in my head, and you tell me if this corresponds to what you have, is one of those classic dive through the fields and then like cut your engines and hide alongside a crystal. And then when it goes, because what you described was you're like, when it goes whipping past us, we're going to grab it and shove it off course, right?
Love it, yes.
And I was like, all right, that makes perfect sense to me. But like,
yeah, I think it's study. I think I'm pulling up the scanner.
Great.
She's flying, and I'm pulling up the scanner. I'm like, okay. 3 clicks ahead, we've got a little cave. Pull in there, right?
Nice.
That's what that looks like.
All right, and yeah, are you calming the rest of the crew? Because I believe both Sion and Ula are still fully in action. And then we'll switch over to Lauren and figure out what's going on inside the time field.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know about this time bubble happening anyway. So yeah, I'm like, we got company. Everybody hold on to something. This is gonna everybody strap in. This is gonna be a bit we're gonna really give this gravity scoop a test. And yeah, so I definitely let everybody know.
All right then.
What's my position for the study to find that little hole?
I want to say risky, but I feel like it's actually controlled, and the outcome of the roll, we'll see if we end up in a risky position. The reason for that is where the hell would you find a better place to hide a ship than a crystalline field? So yeah, I think you have the advantage here. I think
Cool.
it's controlled.
Cool. All right, study
Yeah.
control. Bump. Okay,
All right. So
Mixed
on
success.
a 5, this is fine. It's just a risky. It's gonna put you in a risky position, right?
Yeah.
Like you find a place. It's a decent place, but you're gonna have your engines cut, and you're gonna have to let him come through like real close.
Mhm.
In order to, like, if this scoop doesn't go well, you people are gonna get like cut in half with matter cannon fire, right? Like it's just how it go.
Yeah.
You're still not even sure why the ship is attacking you or what the ship is.
No,
but like,
No problem. We get cut in half with matter cannon fire. We hit the reset button. Let's go.
Okay, let's try this
That's
again.
actually true. That's clever. It's really clever. That is how episode 1 went.
Does anyone run to the cockpit at this point? Like this has taken a moment. This isn't instantaneous. Like we've been whipping around, banging around, and now like we suddenly have pulled into this dark shadow of a crystal. Is anyone up
What
here?
is Scion doing? What is Ula doing?
So, talk to me again about the situation with the time freezing nonsense.
I believe that
was
Dipper is still inside the time freeze.
Okay. So like maybe from the outside we see like Dipper just turned fully crystalline, but like we know that this means
it looks like a. So the way we described it when the coherence cannon came down was that it was like an inverted. Do you remember the bubble that you're inside, where like time is weird outside and the bubble is safe? It looks like that flipped on inward, right?
Sure.
Like,
so like
there is a
grayscale
bubble, it's
inside.
shimmery,
Yep,
and
totally.
Dipper is in the center of it, holding both.
Okay, but Ula and
leaders.
I were both lucky enough to be outside of this.
You were prepared, right? Like that was the anticipation, is that you would be outside of this, unless you really don't want to be, in which case we can.
No. I was just making sure. Yeah, I guess if Ula's running to the engine rooms to be like,
That is correct. Yes.
what the fuck, then I'll run to the cockpit to also be like, what the fuck?
Awesome. So we absolutely see Ula in her element, right? She's in that engine room. She's already like vented all the problems. She's probably already on repairs. We see Scion dashing into the cockpit. So let's take a moment and see how Dipper is doing. So Dipper, I think that there is a moment where all time stops and you are not supposed to have any cognizance of what is happening. You know, like time is frozen, right? So you shouldn't be able to see things moving. But I have a feeling that on a 4 to 5, you feel you see something, and it looks like a like maybe it's like a just like a light, or like a figure of light, maybe. And I think that you actually see it moving inside of, like, you can see it moving, and you can consciously like sense its presence. Like your body can't move because you're like locked, but like your mind can. And the figure just says, "This seems to be too early. What do you want to do?"
I think if like Dipper tries to move and they can't physically move, they just like shoot into the way instead, because like that gives you some mobility.
Awesome. Yeah, do it. So like, are you trying to do like an astral body, like separate, like do an out of body experience here, or like
yeah,
what is?
yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
you have dark visions and stuff. I think this is doable. Let's
Love it.
let's make an attune roll. See how this goes.
Sweet.
Sorry, somebody was like devil's bargain. The eel is inside the bubble. No, go on.
Especially I was thinking about
Danger
avoiding those
eel.
two. Let me roll this attune roll. Oh, I'm assuming it's like risky standard.
Yeah. I actually, yeah, it's risky standard just because you've never done it before.
Oh, I got a
Oh.
3 and a 1.
Oh, it doesn't
Bad news.
it doesn't go well. I was pretty sure I knew what was happening on a 4 to 5. On a 1 to 3 though.
Did I push myself? Oh
Well, no, then it goes desperate. Then you want to push yourself. So I think what happens is, I think that you try very hard to attune to this thing, and it's a strange sensation. So it's a lot like, do you remember when you had the overindulgence with your dark visions, and you had a bunch of like ideas of like you had like visions of stuff happening and like you like taking these like artifacts and like I think you hurt Scion or something. Like it was weird dream sequence, right? So like I think that something fairly similar happens, right? Like you have a sequence of strange visions. You remember times that you were not alive. You remember like eras that are long bygone. You see like yourself floating in space in front of a gate, and it's all very strange and like larger than life and sort of like dream logic-y. But yeah, I think that for a second, like you do attune and you do separate from your frame, and for a second you realize that this must be what the ghosts feel like. And then on a 1 to 3, now you're going desperate. So like on a 4 to 5, I was going to say limited effect, you only have a few seconds, like let's have a conversation in the space of a very short period of time. I think on a 1 to 3, two things happen. One, you have a few seconds of like coherence maybe, so like this is how you go to a desperate position. And two, you're not sure how to get back inside your core and your body. You've never done this before, and now you're in a bad place. What do you want to do?
Okay, this is gonna be really cheesy. I think I tune into like Scion's words, like from our times that we've practiced the like studying together. And I think I want to put like words in Scion's mouth, but I feel like it's that kind of like, no, you've got this. Like I've seen you do, like we were sort of back to back.
I was actually gonna say, like, can I provide an assist now, or is it like no, same stakes as the previous role? Yeah, like the assist is like flashing back to that night that we were out partying, and I was like, "This belongs to you." And then like I get real serious for a second, and I'm like, "Dipper, I know you're not sure about this, but I'm more sure about this than anything. You can do this. There's nobody here that knows any more about this than you do. And I don't believe any of that destiny or rightness stuff, but if anybody had any call to this at all, it's you. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. Just don't let anybody else push you around."
So sweet. I mean, get that sort of Dipper, like, I can do this, like, sort of internal, like, to bring back that frantic feeling of like breaking apart and leaving your body and stuff. So I think I'll just go for it again. I'll try and attune from a desperate
attune, but now you have an assist, so that's plus 1d.
Well, Lauren, I have a question. Do you think that Dipper has made friends with any of the ghosts?
Oh, interesting. I know not mechanically, but I think there is.
I don't mean mechanically.
Yeah.
I just mean, do you feel like you've like connected with them? Because I love the notion of this either being them hating you back in or them pushing you out. It's just depending. It doesn't change the position or effect or anything like that. I just wonder what the relationship between them and you are right now as you're trying to get back into yourself.
Oh yeah, I think there has to be like Dipper feels as multiple spider legs, like sort of pushing them forward, almost like, oh, like, yeah, you got, like, sort of tapping into that
Nice.
that energy between Scion and Dipper. I also, when I make a desperate roll, I can take 1d in exchange for experience points. So I will.
Oh, you took Daredevil.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, definitely get that plus 1d. Are you pushing? And did you say you're pushing yourself?
Yeah, I'll push myself too.
So that's plus 3d. Good luck.
This. And what's my effect? Is it?
Standard.
Standard.
So let's talk about this. I think, yeah, it's you have a few seconds before you return to your body, which is the thing that we established, and then before you get lost in Ghostland, you're trying one last desperate move. So let's talk about what this looks like. So on a 1 to 3, I don't know, maybe Dipper becomes a ghost, and we'll have adventures in the secondary core or something.
That sounds fun.
on a 4 to 5, or on a 6, you obviously get back. You get your 1 to 3 seconds, and you get back to your body, no problem. On a crit, maybe you talk to the light you learn more. You can come back with knowledge of the light being or something, and then. But what happens on a 4 to 5? It usually means that you get back to your body, but there is some like horrific sort of like damage that makes you unable to act on a normal level. So like, what would that look like here? Maybe you've got like a weird disassociation where you have to like reattune to your body, so you're like out of commission for a bit. Is that sound fair? And of course you could resistance / test it down like a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I like the idea of like creating that void space for stuff to get in. So it's like, who knows what I could have picked up in the time.
Oh, I see. You keep a little bit of the weird wayness in your internals. All right, yeah, all right. Let's throw some dice now that we know the consequences.
It's a ghost. It's a weird void stuff. I have no idea. Yeah.
Dipper, the open house for weird way shit.
It is good.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
The next trauma I have my eye on is unstable, so I think that also plays quite well into you just like breaking apart. Oh, I got it.
Oh yeah, look at that crit.
Oh, thank
all right.
God.
It's all
Lauren,
about that crit.
so let's you have a few moments to talk to this light being, and with the help of Scion's drunk pep talk and the spider's legs, you're going to be able to make it back to your body. But maybe you can also draw some knowledge from the way about this interaction that otherwise would not be available to you, because that's what we said the crit does, right? You get follow-up questions and stuff. So yeah, so what you have a few moments here. What would you like to do?
I think like my first question is like, what is this thing? It doesn't feel like a ghost. It's not God.
Oh, it's not.
Like
It's not. So wow. Let's get all super sci-fi for a second. Do you remember like the room with the weird time forwarding, and like it was like a theater where you could like rewind moments in time? It was in the ruin that we saw previously.
Mhm.
Well, it's actually something that's very similar. It's a time echo of someone from like effectively what you're seeing is somebody who's displaced themselves, and what you realize is that these components are definitely part of a key that unlocks a gate. But part of the reason that the gate is locked is because the moment of its activation has been shifted outside of time. And so what you folks are seeing is something that hasn't turned on yet, even though it technically turned on ages ago, but nobody actually moved that moment in time forward. And none of this really makes a lot of sense. This is like a 2001 Space Odyssey kind of thing where like people have to, on the forums, they're like typing this out. Like this is not in the narration. Nobody's actually having this speech. There's like weird psychedelic imagery and people interpret it later, but Dipper's brain is functioning on a different level, right? Like you're drawing things directly out of the way and you're kind of pulling some of this information in. So what you're seeing is like the person that's responsible for like either reopening or closing that gate, right? Like, and so like when you're accessing these keys, particularly with both of the cores active as a person designated for keeping that gate locked, like you're seeing echoes of this event in a way. Like it's clear that they're trying to communicate with you, whether they're unhappy or they've just been stuck in time forever or whatever the case may be, who knows. But yeah, that's kind of what you're getting. Does that sound cool?
That sounds amazing.
All right,
I'll
I'm being
get the
weird. Let's
picture.
do weird stuff because now we're playing with the way. All right.
Do I get anything else, or that's like enough? And then I sort of feel.
Well,
like the
you asked me
flowing
like,
back
what
into
is
my
this?
body.
So I've answered your question. If you have follow-up questions, feel free. If you want to communicate with it or talk to it or whatever, that's fine too.
Yeah, I guess like, is there anything I can glean from like how to use these things, or like any sort of
Well, you're missing the third part. So that's part of the stuff that you know.
Is it possible that even though Dipper's missing the third part now, once they have the third part, the memories of this will make it sort of click into place? Like,
Sure, yeah,
there isn't an answer right now, but you'll know the answer when you have the third.
Yeah, the answer is time delayed as well.
very good.
I love just being able to be like, ooh.
Spoopy.
Yeah. It's very was it roadside picnic here. All right. Cool. Yeah, basically you need all three parts. Well, actually I have a question for you. It seems like there is a conflict, right? And there is an incongruence between your cores and sort of like the purpose of the artifacts, right? Because the Urbots definitely seem to think that their purpose is to keep that gate locked and also to keep the artifacts from actually being used to open it. but the purpose of the artifacts is to open that gate, especially when they're used together. So there's this like weird dissonance in your mind as you like reconnect, because yeah, it's like conflicting purposes. I don't know. That's up to you.
No, I love that. I think that makes sense too for the moment that Dipper like comes back to their body. It's like when you realize you're in a dream, you're like, oh, I'm dreaming, and then everything starts to feel a bit fake and strange. So you could have like come back to your body. Yeah, unless Ula has some Ula questions that she would like to know from.
So many questions. No single question is popping to mind right now. But she'll be very interested to hear about this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, Scion, just to give you an idea of something cool that maybe you can either put in your pocket or interact with later, right? Like, you see this time bubble, right? You know that everything inside it is basically inviolate and time locked, right? Like, you can't interact with it because it stops working, like physics don't work right. But you actually see Dipper's eyes, like, turn on and glow inside the time field, which is not a thing that should be capable of happening. So hopefully that explains the situation to you that you're in as the ship is trying to hide and or gravity slingshot a second ship.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. So since we've handled that, let's look at the outside of the ship. I believe you folks hid safely. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then we ended up in a risky position.
Yes.
And then we're going to try and throw off path this other ship as it comes whizzing by. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're gonna use our, as you said, short range gravity scoop, and we're just gonna, as it's like whipping around in these tight corridors, I think we're just gonna like, latch onto the back of it and try and like wrangle it like you'd wrangle like a steed. Like we get on its back and we're like, I'm like I got it, and like you punch it, and so we're gonna like steer it into one of these things, not necessarily destroy it, just to damage its engine so it can't chase us down. You know?
Yeah. So because like if it's wounded, then you can attempt to just fire your jets and GTFO.
We can GTFO. Maybe we could talk. Who knows? But we can't. This thing's firing on us right now, so direct action is needed. So yeah.
All right, that sounds good. How are we doing this? Is this just like a helm roll? Is Ula assisting by shunting power? Like, what's the plan here?
I think it's a helm roll. I would love an assist.
You can absolutely have an assist, yes.
Cool.
Just like wrangling fungal cows.
Exactly. Ula, remember that fungal bloom? We gotta catch another one. All right. How can it? There we go. That machine was.
You hear Ula over the comm. Yeehaw!
Strush, because we're starting the mission, we have one gambit, right? And because
technically no.
Samara is not with us, are we not started the mission yet?
No. This is your entanglement. It happens before the mission.
Okay, cool.
So sorry.
No, it's fine. I wasn't planning on spending it. I just wanted to do accounting, so I'm removing it from because I had it on the page, so I'm gonna remove it. Okay. Helm, risky, standard, +1, smashing time. Oh, thanks for that help, Ula. All right, mixed result.
Yep.
So on a 4 to 5, I think that there's a well, we'll see. You folks can test it down. I think what happens is you grab it, you throw it into a crystal, you definitely like damage its engines. There's like, sparks and everything else, but whoever's in there like uses like their attitudinal thrusters to like turn themselves around. What you didn't damage is their gun. And so like, I think that, I think you folks definitely damage the ship, but before you can get away safely, right? Because like you fire your engines, but it takes a second for like inertia to get overcome and everything else.
Right.
I think they just drop matter cannon fire across you and you're going to take 2 levels of ship harm, and we'll
I have a way I want to resist that, and I was really hoping this would come up anyway, so tell me if this sounds legit. We're really close quarters, like we're very close.
Sure.
To be in the gravity well. So I was like, I'm controlling the gravity well, and just as I see that, I'm like, hold on, and I stuck up my hand on the gravity well, and I stick my hand in the glove of the arm, and I reach down and I use the arm to grab the gun and like turn it away so it fires into
awesome.
Fires
awesome.
into a crystal instead of into us.
Okay, do that. Let's see how that goes.
All right. I think this is prowess resist because it's helm and it's quick thinking and quick response. Let's go. Boom, bump, bump. 2 stress. I'm happy to take it.
Cool. So I think
Both controllers engaged.
yeah, I think it's fine. But I think your ship, instead of taking 2 levels of harm, is going to take 1 level of harm. And specifically, it's going to take harm to the weapon system. And what's going to happen is your arm, your actuator arm, is going to get like badly wrenched and damaged, right? Because you're like trying to use it to like shove a ship, and it's using engines to like fight, and it's getting gravity weld, and there's a lot of inertia and stuff. So I think like you just pull the arm out of socket, and your arm is like really badly wrecked. So yeah, so that's so your ship is damaged, but it's not like on fire, right? Like you get that thing where stuff sparks in the cockpit when the arm gets damaged, and it shakes around a bunch because I don't know.
Everybody lurches in opposite directions.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh no.
And I feel like it's like there's that, like, even though I'm in this holographic thing, it's like pulling on my arm really hard. I'm like, it's like pulling me out of the seat to try and like resist the tension on
I think it's oh yeah, maybe even you get like a weird angle on your arm or something. So like maybe you've got a sore shoulder or something. But yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's what you do, right? Like they try to cut you in half. They manage to like, but yeah, you turn the gun away and you like damage your arm, but like it gives you enough, hold on. And obviously you folks are gonna book it away, and yeah, you see the other ship like spinning slowly and then like hits a crystal and bounces like once, and clearly there's a fish shakiness. Like
yeah,
got away this time, but
yeah, if we had disabled their weapons, I might have said let's go back and find out why they're chasing us. But right now their guns are still working, so I don't want to go say hi. I don't want to make friends. Josh, do you know if on the sheet there's a place to record ship damage?
Yes. I haven't done this in a long while. I haven't actually been I actually played in a campaign. I know that there is a thing. Let me just 1 second. Persephone character sheet. Let me take a look.
What's your damage?
All right, so there is 6 there's 6 boxes. The top one is your rating, the bottom one is damage.
Got it. Thank you. Perfect. Cool. Thank you.
So you'll notice that the bottom one is bright red because it indicates a harm, right?
Love it.
But
okay.
This is the thing that Ula gets to fix for free next downtime, if there is a next downtime. So yeah. Cool. Awesome. So I think that 2 things happen here. The first is, I think you get away from this thing. You skim out of the gravity well of Voss, which is the name of the crystalline planet, and you start flying towards planet Omega. And I think that we are going to make the engagement roll for the job.
Sounds good.
That's the first thing.
Yeah. Real quick, Josh. I know. Time-wise, you want to be cognizant. Could I identify? And I'm happy if you give this to me last.
I was going to say the second thing is XP, but go on.
Could I identify anything about that ship? Like who?
Sure.
It was?
What would you like to? Would you like to make a fortune roll using your study?
Yes, I would like to. I would like to study it just to
Sounds
know.
fine.
Like, is this a bounty hunter? Is this a what?
It's a bounty hunter.
Come on, baby. Hold together. How good is it? How bad is it?
It's a, well, you can't do bad on gather information rolls. It's
correct.
Two.
So I think you get very, very vague information. So here's things I can tell you. It's definitely like a modified like cuttercraft. Like you put 2 and 2 together, and you do not know who this is. You do not know who they work for. What you do know is that they're pretty well paid, and they definitely like your gut says, yeah, it's probably a bounty hunter of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
But who is this? How fast are they going to repair that ship? How many resources do they have? And things like that. You don't know.
Yeah, I think I just say that's not the last we're going to see of them. And yeah, I got a bad feeling. All right. Engagement, right?
Yeah, engagement. Let's do it.
I was gonna say, Ula never actually used either of my downtime actions. So I mean, if we have time before we go to Onomega, I could fix the damage to the ship, depending upon the order of operations.
But you built a space elevator.
Yeah.
But nobody had me use any mechanical downtimes for that. We just threw cred at that problem.
I think what we said is that it was just going to take both downtimes.
Oh, okay.
That it was like that downtimes and like the downtimes of previously for you to get the plans to make it. Because
Okay.
like we bought it with
then.
6, but you had to do downtime
Installs.
actions to
Gotcha.
to the install.
Okay.
But yeah, you didn't. I would definitely be down with Ula fixing this. So Steven, you said you thought this was a social plan, and our social connection was that.
Dipper's contact with
Yeah,
the
and since we're
Urbot.
bypassing the agony and we're going direct down to them, I think that makes sense. But Josh, tell me, like, is there something else that we have to do in terms of planetary?
No, I think
defenses
it's
and whatnot?
fine. I think
Okay.
that we'll take a look at where it goes from there next time.
Okay.
I'll come up with some interesting puzzle pieces, and we'll take a look at how Dipper feels about humanity and purpose.
Cool. All right, so we start with one. We start with one just for luck. Is this job particularly bold or daring? I think it's incredibly bold. We're going to go to this thing and be
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
you need to give up your purpose and give it to us so that we can go do a different thing. So that's 2.
Alternatively, like
Sorry, Chad. It's good. Go on.
previous purpose, overwrite with new purpose. Like
Yeah. We have an updated purpose for you. Is it overly complicated? I don't particularly think so. I think we're just gonna go and say, "Give us a crystal, bub." Like this is more important. What do you think? Does anyone feel like it's?
I agree. We're just walking in and chatting.
Yeah.
No problems.
Yeah. Do we have? I'm trying to do this off of memory. Here we go.
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest, Strash?
Yes, I think that
cool.
you folks have taken that. Well, usually the answer would be 100% no, but I think that we took some time to like get the gravity thing and think about Ula tinkering with the transponders to hide you from the sensors and all this other stuff. So like, I feel like most of the things that I would say are the puzzle pieces are probably going to be on deck. There's a couple of components that maybe you're not accounting for, such as, the way being able to tell you that wonky shit's about to happen. So like that might be a thing that we deal with next time, depending on how you roll. But I feel like overall you've handled a lot of pretty decent defenses and come up with pretty good plan solutions. So I would say yes, I think you're hitting them where they're weakest.
+1 for that. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations?
No.
Okay. Can any of our friends or contacts provide aid or insight?
Good question.
Did we get that already?
I mean, I don't think we did involve Alondra to help us get Malf and to help us get the
artifact.
The artifact.
Yeah.
If the artifact has not been factored in already, then I think we should get 1D for coming with the second artifact, because that's a pretty big deal itself.
Yeah. Do we get a die for this, Strash, or has our previous work just set us up to?
I don't think so. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of folded into the other stuff. I think that an assist would be somebody that has sway with either the Agni or the Urbot, right? Like it would not.
Yeah.
A lot of the previous stuff doesn't really make much of a difference, and it's already handled with the like hitting them where they're weakest, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are any enemies or rivals interfering?
Yes.
Well, we lost one.
Are there other elements you should consider? Tier. Other situations.
No, I don't think so. I think this is a very dangerous situation, but you're doing an indirect approach. You're not going head to head. There's no like big space battles or something, so I think it's fine.
Cool.
Then we're at a total of 2, Sean.
2 dice. All right. Oh, and I've at 2 dice and very anxious puppy.
Ooh. Well, there are no bad engagement rolls.
There are no bad engagement rolls. Exactly.
All right.
All
So
right.
things start out desperate next session.
That
Let's
sounds
do
right.
XP.
Cool. Scion.
All right, I didn't roll any desperate actions this time around. Did I address a tough challenge with wisdom or the way? I felt like I helped Dipper with wisdom.
Oh heck yeah! I was gonna say like yeah, you assisted me at least twice with like scary way
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, well, in that last group action
Mhm.
to tinker with the artifacts,
Yeah.
certainly. She
Well, I'll
counts.
fill up my prowess track and add one to my playbook. Did I express my beliefs drives heritage or background? I'm going to give myself one for that. Like, I think I did, but not in a particularly magnificent way. I don't think I struggled with issues from my vice or traumas this session. So we'll sit there.
Cool. All right, Dipper.
Oh yeah. I did roll a disparate action, but I converted that into a dice, and I did not address a tough challenge with force or threats. I think we did get a fair amount of the beliefs drives heritage background.
I think so too.
Yeah. Um. So I'll grab 2 for that, and I think like I think we saw some of Dipper's recklessness coming out with like pushing themselves on the way roll there and leaving their body even though they didn't quite know what was going to happen or how to get back or anything. Don't know if I did anything else super recklessly. If anything, Dipper was a bit more cautious, and I think with Ula and
haunted by ghosts and
true.
memories and other things.
I forget that's part of my trauma.
You've just internalized it.
Yeah, it's just a part of life now.
I think that's. I think you're haunted is pretty fair.
That is very fair. Yeah, cool. I think that's me.
Cool. All right, Ula.
I did mark an XP for desperate action.
Nice.
I addressed a tough challenge with technical skill or ingenuity. I mean, I installed and assembled the whole Gravitic thing, which is fun.
True facts.
You also stopped us from smashing into the.
I did. Correct. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I picked up an artifact because I was done with this shit, and because I wanted to help my family. Right. This is what we needed to do the thing. And so I knew that it was probably a terrible idea, but I did anyway.
Yeah. You also pulled the mom card of like, I'm Alondra's mom.
Yeah.
You should do what I said. So.
Yep. Cool. So I'm going to take 2 for that. I don't think I struggle with issues from my vice or traumas. I keep wanting to struggle with my vice of being obsessed with Urtak, and then it goes wrong in completely other ways. Don't burn me. So
that's kind of how Urtek do though.
Yeah. So that's me.
I would make one argument for you struggling with your vice or trauma as we were describing, like, as you were describing. I mean, it just didn't come down to a roll, but we were describing like the thing being in the vault and you just being like itching to go figure out what it is and like really wanting to see it and living like yeah let's put the devices together and see what
you
they do.
also did cause Dipper stress because of your excitement and over enthusiasm and stuff.
I'll take it.
That's true.
I'll take it.
Yeah, because we totally didn't have to like go and investigate the Urtek. We could have been like, nope, we're gonna leave it in the vault. Just be sensible, then go on the mission. And it was like, no, but we have to look at what it is.
Yeah, I think you should take it. And yeah. All right, Whisper. I did not have any desperate actions. I just have tough challenge with deception influence. Yeah, I think I did. I used influence in a couple of times. One was working with Malfin. The other one was getting Alondra on our side. And yeah, I think that's. Whisper was doing his thing. Did you Whisper beliefs, drives, heritage, or background? My background didn't come up very much. I don't think so. My beliefs, drives.
Oh no, but you said like all of your. I'm sketch about way stuff. Like.
Oh yeah, that definitely is going to go up in a second.
Right.
I don't think that's beliefs, drives, heritage, or background because you struggle with issues from your vice or trauma during the session. Yes, I definitely struggled with my paranoia about way stuff. I was very uncomfortable in that moment. And I'm. This is a bit retconny, but this is mostly because it was in my head and I didn't say it, but I'll say it now. There was definitely a desire for Whisper. He knows he's about to retire, and he kind of wanted to show off to Nita that like he still had the stuff. So this cold gravity arm space grab smashed the other ship. That was reckless because it was him trying to be like, "See, I still got the stuff, kid. I'm not totally retired." And I apologize, I didn't say that at the time.
Old man.
But it was definitely the kind of thing where he's gonna pretend like his arm being wrenched doesn't really, it's like, I'm fine, because he's trying to show off. So I'm taking 2 there.
I look forward to Ula noticing that later.
Yeah.
Oh, heck
exactly.
They still got some more moves there.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna put those into resolve because that's 4 in resolve, which is gonna give me another dot, and I'll put it in sway, and now I have all 4 resolve skills. Awesome. Persephone. Did we execute a successful extraction, operation, or capture a bounty? I don't think so.
Nope.
Did we contend with challenges above our current station? There's definitely that ship that I think is higher tier than us that just tried to take us out. Is
Also,
that accurate,
I
Strash?
picked up an artifact that should
Yeah.
have done very bad things to me.
Yep.
Okay.
Both true. Did we bolster our crew's reputation or develop a new one? Unpredictable and hard. I don't know.
You're like,
really.
hey, y'all are gonna handle all
Definitely
that battle
not
stuff, right?
What's that?
Unpredictable, definitely yes. I
Yeah.
don't know about hard.
I don't
Yep.
think hard. Unpredictable. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think 1 makes sense.
Yep.
Do we express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? I feel like we had a bunch of these like heart to heart, like the drinking with Dipper and Whisper montage, Ula, Dipper and Scion, sorry, Ula and Whisper, and then all of us getting around with when we realized like we met the ghosts and we had the little connection there. I felt like those were all strong moments of
definitely.
us, like we care about each other. Yeah. All right, so we don't advance, but we're 1 tick away. So just to know for next time. Cool. That is XPs.
Awesome.
Boop-a-doop-a-doop. I am doing the outro. I'm Sean. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me everywhere at Sean Nittner. This was a very cool game. We took some time figuring out what we were all about, but now we're ready to dive right into the action next time, which I'm super excited about. As I mentioned in the opening, all the proceeds from the channel are being split between Black Lives Matter and the Trans Legal Defense Fund. So if you help us out, if you sub, that's where that's going to go. If you want to donate directly, that is great too. My game Agon is printed. It's in a warehouse. It's going to be shipped sometime. So if you pre-order it now on BackerKit, you should get it in October. But I think maybe you might get it earlier. We're basing everything on COVID times, and so far they've been moving a little faster than we expected. So hopefully it'll be a little sooner. But I'm super excited about that. And
Can't wait.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this book for so many months. Like it was done, and then COVID hit. And tonight at this evening, we'll be streaming Balak Bion with the creator Jamie, and find out how our friends in Goblin Town and survive. So all these cool things to be excited about. How about you, Lauren?
Hi, yes, I've been Lauren. I use They. I'm at the Stray Kiwi on Twitter, and thestraykiwi.com if you want to know more about me and the editing and design stuff I do for tabletop role-playing games. I forgot last week I made a Dipper playlist, so I'll make sure I tweet that out
Yes!
after this is done. I tried to sort of arc it so it is a bit more curious at the beginning, and then it's a bit like, oh no, like things are terrible and terrifying, and there's ghosts in my head. So it should. And then I ended it with Robots by Flight of the Conchords, because I'm from New Zealand, and I would be remiss if I didn't have that song on there. Otherwise, yeah, Thief and the Necromancer, we play on Saturdays. Next game will be in 2 weeks. It's really fun. Very sword and sorcery. D-Pod feels silly, flipping the bird at people, hijinks, and setting fires to things, and all that kind of jazz. Strash is playing that with me. I'm sure Strash will talk more about his character then. Otherwise, I'll just toss it over to Steven.
Hey everybody, I'm Steven. Use he, him pronouns. I'm everywhere on the internet at Silent Osiris. Leo is a 0. And yeah, just like last night at about this time, I announced that I'm starting a new show, which is going to be an occasional thing with Anna Prosser, Jen Forget, Neil Erickson, and Rachel Seltzer. So if you're interested in hearing more, we're going to do a like 30-minute info session next Saturday about Pawns and Patrons, the name of this show. So if you want to find out more, you can follow me on Twitter. And that's all for me these days.
What are you
Jen.
playing, or is that part of the announcement?
It is a secret at the moment, but
Okay, I'm glad I didn't ask if it was the thing we talked about before game. Yes, all right. Woo! Look at me. being
your
all
answer,
political and
the
smooth.
answer is yes.
Okay,
but
excellent.
Also,
That answered my question.
Jen, take it away.
Hello, I'm Jen Martin. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at 10penjen. I have no new or interesting work news right now. I'm still working on stuff for Bully Pulpit. Yeah, it's all just going well. We're finished shipping Fiasco, I think, which is amazing. But that's
I got my FedEx notification.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, I got my boxes. They're in my living room.
Yeah, I finally
Nice.
got mine, and I worked on the game, so. But yeah, that's all I got going on right now. It's all Fiasco all the time. Strash, what about you?
Hey, I'm Strash, he, him. I'm one of the regular streamers here. As Lauren mentioned, we play The Thief and the Necromancer with Judd and Luke from Wildwood Games. I get to play the aforementioned Necromancer in The Thief and the Necromancer, so that's kind of fun. I just don't have a whole lot of news. I write games, but
This game.
yeah, I wrote this game. That's true. You can find it on the Evil Hat site or your store / of choice. I guess the other thing I will say is there's a new game that I'm working on called Spell and Blade, and keep your ear to the ground because maybe in 2 weeks I might have some more news. So we'll see.
Nice. Very cool.
Depends. It depends on the apocalypse. All right. That's it for me. Sean, do you wanna do the smooth? Is it smooth outro time?
It's smooth outro time.
All right.
Bye.
Smooth out.